So right now I'm in the middle of cleaning up all of the wiring utilizing this small 5 fuse holder. What I'm doing is I'm getting all the wiring sorted better, getting it to a central point so that 1, it has breakouts to be easily disconnected, and 2, just so it doesn't look like a hot mess. So what I've got for the fuse holder is there's where the ground is. I've got the ground wire behind a nut. I'm going to utilize that as a hanger for this little piece of strap steel that I found. Now there were no holes in it when I started and it was much, much bigger, but I kind of just traced it around, made some holes in the back, and then lined those up with the holes that are in the fuse holder here. And I'm going to have this bolted together so that the fuse holder stays onto the strap, and then the strap goes on to the ground bolt. So that's what I'm working on now, just kind of cleaning some things up. I'll give you guys a more in-depth look when I get it sorted more and more or less finalized. Alright, so this is what the circuit is going to look like. I have the yellow and red wire at the top with the fans coming next, the fuel pump and the tachometer. And then on the opposite side, this is all going to be switch side for the switch panel. This is all body side. The matching wire that runs for yellow and red, I'm not sure which one it is, but just made sure to match it up the way it was. The fans, they had a yellow wire on the switch panel side, or I'm sorry, a red wire on the switch panel side and a yellow on the body side, so I made sure to correct that. So I have yellow going in, yellow coming out. Then I have my fuel pump on the 3rd pole here, that's going to be black. And then I have accessory power listed on the bottom. What that's going to be is there's going to be 1 feed for the tachometer on the 4th pole. And then there's going to be an empty circuit here, but it's going to be pre-wired for anything else that needs to have accessory power. So with everything hooked up on the body side, not finalized, but just hooked up, I still have to take care of this wire, and I'm leaving this alternator power separate. I'm going to leave it in its own loom, but it's looking a lot better in here than when I first started. A lot more manageable, and I'm a lot happier with it. This being probably the, I'd say, 4th iteration of this this little part of the project. I could have let it go a long time ago. I could have just been like, yep, that works. But that's not my style. It was just bugging me. I needed to get it sorted out. I have other components coming still for the back of the car that is going to be kind of mirroring the same effect. I've got bus bars that have power pickups and negative pickups all in one common junction box, if you will. There won't be fuses, but having all of that up front under the dash, just knowing that it's there like that in such a better condition is going to be so much better for me. I'm just going to know that it's done well as I can, and I shouldn't have any issues, and if I do have issues, it should be easier to track down. So I'm going to keep plugging on with that and finalize that, and then make sure everything works, and then come back when I think I'm going to be extending the headlight harnesses next. So, slight snafu. Remember quite a few episodes when I said, hey, if you don't have everything hooked up in your electrical and you don't double check it and one thing touches and poof, you fry something? Electrical, because one wrong move in something electrical, you don't have something hooked up right, even if you think you do and you didn't double check it, might be touching somewhere. You go to flip that power switch, burnt out, completely broken, needs to have repair. You can really do some damage if you don't have your electrical set up. Now, I remember it, and I just lived it. So I had everything hooked up for the switch panel, and I went to test everything, and the fans wouldn't come on. They came on for a second, and then they stopped, I don't know if the fuse blew that was in there. I don't know why it would. It was just hardwired before. But in taking the switch panel out to try and check it, I forgot to turn off my power and ground it out on the frame and fried the switch. So I'll have to order a switch. I'll have to get that taken care of. I don't really know what caused it yet, but I need to have a switch here just to fix it even. So this is still not going to stop me from what I'm doing today. Instead of messing around with the headlights, what I'm going to do is actually try and figure out my brake switch, which means I get to use new tools. More power! Bought myself a chop saw because I'm going to need to figure something out for the front bumper, and I tried to use a cutoff wheel before on something I tried and it just wasn't any good. I've got a piece of strap steel that I'm going to cut to length for my pedal position, I don't know, base, I guess. But I'm going to go ahead and put this chop saw together and then measure out what I need to and get a bracket built to home my brake light switch. Now that I had the strap steel cut down to size, it was time to drill the holes so that the screws could go through the bracket and attach to the stop light switch itself. I'm actually using a slightly undersized drill bit from the hole so I didn't ruin the threads that were already on the brake light switch. Well, unfortunately, getting that brake switch installed took me the rest of the day. Did it. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best place for it, and that's probably what took me a lot of time. I could have just slammed this in here and had it work, but I had to think about ergonomically how the wiring was going to fit, make sure you didn't hit it with your foot or anything like that. But, I mean, still, it's good to know that it actually works. So we're going to go ahead and put the power back on. Headlights are already on, so the dim is already working. That's the headlights off. You can see that they will respond to that too. So we'll pop the headlights back on. So we've got dim. Then we have bright, dim, bright, dim, bright. So I was able to get that in there. I didn't finalize it yet. For me, it's 5 o'clock right now. So like I said, unfortunately, that took me the rest of the day. I'll be back another day to keep working on all this stuff. For me, maybe tomorrow, maybe longer than that. But I feel really good about getting a working brake switch, even if unfortunately it's not the prettiest thing or the prettiest welds, but it did what it could, worked with what I had. So we're going to come back to this another day.